I woke up on a Saturday, a little after 5. The nap I'd taken was too short, felt more dead than alive. Peering outside of my window, I saw that it was dark. The streetlights came on suddenly, but not across the street in the park. A fog seemed to roll in wearily. It was an heavenly mist, made my hackles rise up eerily, as if by witch's lips 'twas kissed. I had this uneasy feeling that something was not right. I somehow knew instinctively this was no ordinary night. And as I watched in amazement, a dark cloud moved down from the sky. It wriggled and teemed with movement, the billowing fog affixed to my eye. But it wasn't a cloud filled with mist or moisture as found in the rain. It appeared to be thousands of bats moving back and forth again and again. They lighted on the park's monkey bars, an unholy demonic black host. From the left side arose a specter, the frightening figure of a ghost. I could hear strange sounds emitted by manner of ghost and of beast. They whistled and flapped from the north gate, past the south gate, and on towards the east. The air became heavy and laden with these sounds from the netherworld. Then the first ghost was joined by a second, and a ghastly banner they unfurled. It spooked Saturday read the banner that was held by these two phantasms. It was naturally painted in bloody letters that made my stomach go into spasms. And then, as if that weren't enough, and it seemed it was right on cue, a multitude of gruesome goblins was added to this frightening crew. Their heads were made of pumpkins, whose faces were intricately carved with expressions of shock and horror, like they had been shot or had starved. My heart started racing like mad as I watched them sinuously prance. They slithered, they strutted, they swaggered in a bizarre and ghoulish new dance. Beads of sweat started pouring out my forehead. My hands had turned clammy and cold. It was then that this rabble grew ugly with an eeriness hard to be told. They whipped themselves into a dither. They were joined then by zombies and freaks, every vile creature you can imagine, whose body now crackles and creaks. I had thought they wouldn't have noticed as I witnessed this supernatural sight, but fate was to have other plans for me on that tortuous night. Their piercing red eyes looked about, and in my direction they stared. I can tell you that even Goliath or the Terminator would have been scared. I wondered what had triggered their outrage, what on earth had given me away. Then I realized that the light from my window was shining, much to my dismay. This macabre mob then turned towards me and started to cross the street. My knees got weak. I gulped my throat. I wanted to retreat. But strangely, I stood transfixed there, unable to move a muscle. Their moans grew louder as they drew near. The crowd began to hustle. I stood there hopeless, watching them as their horrible din hurt my ears. The smell of death came into my house and heightened the worst of my fears. Some were shouting, some were raving, some of them were beheaded. Some were vampires, other werewolves, and all of them I dreaded. Smoke was billowing from my door as they quickly entered my home. These horrific figures enveloped me in a spooky, demonic black foam. From out of the middle of the seething stew with bony white skeleton hands, there came a huge figure of death who malevolently made his demands. No mortal can live and tell the tale of the special day that we share. And as he spoke, I found myself kneeling for the benefit of penitent prayer. You are too late for that, he laughed. My unfortunate little friend, no power on earth can save you from this, your untimely end. My head was reeling, my heart was pounding, the pressure was all just too much. The fiendish horde surrounded me as this devil extended his touch. A coldness spread past my face, and blackness fell like the dew. I had no time to ponder my fate as strange things began to ensue. The room started swirling round and round. My faculties were so diminished, it took little time to understand that life for me was finished. But my last conscious thought was curious. From one of the ghosts came a shock. Let's agree to wake him next Saturday. How do you feel about 5 o'clock?